Hey, come on, let's go. Let's all go to the Cowboy Jack show.
Howdy, cowboys and cowgirls. It's me, Cowboy Jack. I'm here with my friend, Fire Safety Officer Giraud. How are you doing today?
Doing very well. How are you?
Yeah, we've seen you before, right?
Yes, sir.
We've got to do a lot of fun things right here at ESD3 in Montgomery County. These folks work really hard to keep us safe every single day. They do an amazing job. But Life Safety Officer Giraud, we have an important month coming up, don't we?
Yes, sir. We have Fire Prevention Month coming up.
Fire Prevention Month. Now, cowboys and cowgirls, we can do a lot of things to make ourselves safe and put a plan in place to make sure that if something were to ever happen, we already know what to do, right? And that's really important. I mean, if you know what to do before it happens, you can do it so much faster, efficiently, and most importantly, safely. So we're gonna learn a lot of that today together. It's gonna be so cool. So according to the United States Fire Administration, residents have less than 2 minutes to get out of a home at the sound of the fire alarms going off. That means you have 120 seconds to safely get out of that home if there was a fire. Now, 2 minutes isn't a very long time, is it?
No, 2 minutes is not a long time at all.
2 minutes sounds like a long time, but that's 120 seconds. That's 2 minutes. That's how long we brush our teeth in the morning. So that's pretty fast. So you hear those fire alarms, you need to react really, really quickly.
Fire is a lot more than just it being hot and bright. Fire is thick black smoke that is very harmful to you if you catch yourself in that situation. So if you do find yourself in that situation, be sure to get low and crawl your way out.
That's an important thing to talk about, Life Safety Officer Giraud, because smoke, I guess, rises, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And so the higher to the ceiling will fill up with smoke first. So if you're in a room that's all full of smoke, you don't want to hold your head up real high and keep your head in that smoke. You need to get below it if you can safely and get out of there as quick as you can. That's a make a plan and move fast.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And fire is also very hot as well. And so fire can get up to 1,300 degrees at the top, as you were saying, at the very top. And then while the floor level is still a couple hundred degrees. And so that's why it's very vital and important for you guys to stay low whenever you guys are leaving.
I heard a comparison once that it could only be 100 degrees at the floor, but maybe 800 degrees at the ceiling. That is crazy. You always got to remember heat rises. So that heat gets trapped underneath the ceiling. It's going to heat from the top down. So stay low and move fast. So if you were to have a fire at home, you'd want to know about it as quickly as possible, right?
Yes.
The quicker you know about it, the quicker you can react. So how do we find out if there is a fire?
So how we find out if there is a fire is through smoke alarms.
Smoke alarms, okay.
Yes.
Where are we supposed to have those?
So smoke alarms are supposed to be in every room and in the hallways and all the living spaces in your house.
That's really important because, like we talked about, smoke rises, right?
Yes.
And so that smoke can hide in different parts of the house and you might not know it. Wherever it is, you want to know about it as quickly as possible. So I guess those are a pretty important part of our house, right?
Yes, they're a very important part of the house.
So we probably need to make sure to do something to those, right?
So we want to always make sure that we test our smoke alarms once a month. And so they're operated on batteries, and we want to make sure those batteries are still working.
Just like our toys and games that we have at home, they work on batteries. And if we don't ever replace those batteries, you might have a smoke alarm that's not working. Now, most smoke alarms will actually make a chirp noise to let you know the batteries are low, but why wait until it's telling you to change the batteries? Be proactive, right? It's so good. You can make it a fun routine. Once a month, we're going around, we're testing our smoke alarms and checking those batteries. And those smoke alarms, they don't last forever, do they?
No, they don't. So they have a 10-year lifespan. So after 10 years, you're supposed to throw it out and get a new one.
Ah, that makes perfect sense. So about the time they turn 10 or before, it's time to change those out and get the newest, latest, greatest technology. Because we're always innovating and making things better, right? Wow, so you might see those smoke alarms in your school, at a doctor's office, anywhere you go, and they're always gonna be
up. They're going to be located on the ceiling because smoke and heat rise.
Okay, so if you have a smoke alarm on the ground, it's not going to do you any good until it's too late, right? Mm-hmm. Always want to put those smoke alarms up on the ceiling. And you know what else I heard? It's always best to have a plan of escape should there be a fire, right?
Yes.
Every home should have a fire escape plan. Let's go over here and take a look at something I sketched up. So this is a map of a home. See, you've got a garage here, bedroom, 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 another bedroom, maybe an office, the kitchen area, and the breakfast dining area. And here's the living room. So we need to make sure we have 2 ways to get out of each and every room. That's real important. But the great thing about how they build homes is not only do rooms have doors, they also have windows. If it's a true bedroom, it'll have an operating window that you can open. So you need to have a plan of escape from each and every room. And you need to know your main entry and exit points, like the front door, the back door, and then like each bedroom has a doorway and windows. So important to have this all mapped out. And then you can say, if we have a fire, our first plan is going to be run out of this door. Next plan would be out the back door. But say you're in here and maybe there's a fire here, you might need to figure out a way to go out the window. It's always important to plan to help you react the quickest way possible, because like we said, you have 2 minutes to get out of that fire, and knowing your escape route is so important. No 2 fire safety plans look the same. Every house is different. So you need to look at your house, look at the layout, and make a plan accordingly. And there are so many resources. There's online websites to help you with this. There's so many things out there to help you make your plan. But the most important part, have that plan. All right, so these are fire extinguishers, and there's a whole lot of different types of fire extinguishers. But just like a carpenter needs to make the right choice of tool to use for his job, or the plumber might need to find the correct wrench, you want to have the right type of fire extinguisher for whatever type of hazards you might be anticipating, right?
That's right.
So I hope you can teach me a little bit about the different types of fire extinguishers.
No problem. So when we're looking at fire extinguishers, you have 5 classes. You have Class A, that's just going to be ordinary combustibles like paper, wood, most household items.
Household type situations,
Right.
Okay.
Class B is going to be for flammable liquids or vapors.
So like gasoline and things like that?
Correct. And then you can also get them in a dry chem base or a carbon dioxide base.
Okay.
And then C is going to be for electricals. So if you have a breaker box panel or maybe just an outlet that seems to be giving off smoke, you can use that.
Wow, specifically made for electrical fires.
Correct. And then D is going to be for motor vehicle. Normally, they're going to be metals. So a lot of these newer vehicles that are coming in, they are going to be highly electrified as well as have those metals in them.
Right, just like our electric,
Correct.
like our Tesla Cybertrucks and hybrid vehicles. A lot more lithium in those vehicles.
And then K is going to be for kitchen fires. So a lot of those oils and greases that you use when you go to restaurants or even in your house,
Okay.
it's really good to have that like under your sink in the kitchen.
That makes perfect sense. So like a chef would want to have a Class K fire extinguisher handy.
Yes, and they are
Especially-
required in the restaurants. You have to have that.
Right, and then somebody that's running an electrical business or maybe doing electrical work all the time would want to have one of those electrical ones. Which class is that again?
The electrical is going to be C.
C. I almost got it right. That is so cool. Wow.
Okay, so here we have 2 fire extinguishers. So this is going to be ABC fire extinguisher.
Oh, it even says that right on it, guys.
Right.
Check that out. ABC.
And so these are going to be mostly found in your household, or maybe if you have a camper, trailer, boat, because they hit 3 different classes of fire, they're normally found at any convenience store or Walmart, Kroger's.
Well, and that's good too, because this is both an A, B, and C class. So if you had a fire in your home, this would basically cover all of the hazards that you could potentially have. Maybe not a grease fire like the K,
Right.
but almost anything in your home you could put out with this one.
But if you did have a grease fire in class K, you would use one like this. They come in a large chrome or silver, and they all are going to be used the same method, which is the PASS method.
The PASS method?
PASS method. So it's an acronym. So you're going to pull.
Okay, pull, so that's our P.
Okay. Pop this out. Aim.
Aim. Okay, aim.
Squeeze.
Squeeze, that's an S.
Sweep.
And sweep, okay. Now, do we want to point that when we aim a fire extinguisher? Do we point at the top of the flames?
No, you're going to point at the base of it. So if, say, a small pan is on fire, you would want to open it up at the front and just sweep it all around that area.
Okay. So never point at the top of the flames. You want to go for the base and source of that fire.
Correct.
That is so cool and so important to know.
So the big things with these to make sure they are operational is you're just going to check the hose, you check the gauge, that always needs to be in green, meaning it's pressurized properly. Check the pin, make sure it's secured in there. And at most companies or operations, they're going to have a monthly inspection.
Okay.
So people will come out and check the tag, they stamp it, make sure it's operational, and that it's still ready to go if y'all do come across some small fire or trash that's on fire in a bin.
Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense. So you always, just like a mechanic is always calibrating his tools, or anybody who's professional, like a barber may sharpen their scissors, right?
Right.
If you're being safe and doing what you need to do to make sure you're ultimately safe if a fire should happen, you're checking your fire extinguisher, make sure it's working properly. And so let's just go over that one more time.
Okay.
So pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep.
Correct.
So you pull the pin,
Right.
aim the hose, and then you're squeezing and sweeping that nozzle at the base of the fire. That is so amazing. Thank you so much for teaching us that.
Of course.
That was so cool. All right, guys, now here's a live demonstration of the proper way to use a fire extinguisher. We're gonna use the PASS method, right? We're gonna pull, we're gonna aim, and then I'm gonna squeeze this handle and sweep the fire at the base. Here we go. I pulled the pin, I'm aiming the nozzle, I'm squeezing the trigger, and I'm sweeping the fire. Wow, and look, now we've safely extinguished the fire with the fire extinguisher. How cool is that? So, making sure you have a plan if there was a fire is super duper important. But even more important than that is fire prevention, right?
Yes.
So we always try to do everything we can to eliminate potential fire hazards.
Yes.
What are some of the things we could do?
So one of the major things is making sure all your major appliances or large appliances are clean. And so that's your refrigerator, your stove, your oven, things like that. Just making sure you keep those clean.
Yeah, not only is cleanliness a good thing for everybody, everybody loves a clean house, but it's also a clean house is a safe house, right?
Yes, a clean house is a safe house.
What? Wait a second, what do we have going on over here?
Oh my goodness. It looks like someone might have left this cooking unattended. We'll go ahead and move that out of the way. A big fire hazard is cooking and leaving it unattended. As you can see, whoever was here left this rag and left some of these towels over here, and they just weren't here cooking. And that's a big no-no.
Yeah, you never want to, especially leaving something on a hot stove. That's crazy. Like paper towels, I mean, this is just paper products. These can ignite really easily and cause a big, big problem. So make sure you keep those safe of any heat sources. And then, like you were saying, the oven, keeping an oven clean. Well, if we were cooking in here one night and we accidentally had a pizza fall down or maybe some cheese spill over or something get down in the bottom, you want to make sure we clean that up once it's safe to do so, because the oven's going to be hot. But clean that up, because the next time you turn the oven on, you won't remember, hey, I spilled some cheese in there. And next thing you know, you have a potential fire hazard right there. So keeping a clean house is keeping a safe house. That is so cool. Oh, well, look at this. What do we have here?
So someone must have left some batteries out. And so we just need to just make sure that we place these in the right place. We keep them in a cool place and we store them correctly.
That's true. These batteries, you know, batteries work by charging lithium inside these batteries. And lithium is a really combustible metal, right?
Yes.
And so we need to treat them properly with care. Don't go throwing batteries around. You know, in fact, it's best to just leave batteries to adults, but always notice if they're misshapen any, if they look hot, if they have corrosion on them, like some white dust and things on them, it's probably best to just throw those away. That is so important. Wow. So in life, there's a lot of things that can happen. I mean, anything can happen. You control your own destiny. And that's why prevention is the absolute most important thing. If you want to stay safe, you need to make sure you're making a plan and staying as safe as possible by avoiding potential hazards. But some of those things are like life safety hazards, right?
Yes, they are.
What are some of those things we could talk about?
So it's funny you actually bring that up. If you guys want to take a step into my office real fast.
That's so cool. His office is this giant fire truck.
And so one of the first things we're going to talk about is carbon monoxide, also known as CO. And CO is an odorless gas. If you're in the area of it for a prolonged amount of time, you will be very sick. You will get very sick.
Yeah, that's true. But since you can't smell it and you can't see it, you have to rely on something like a carbon monoxide detector to let you know it's present. So always make sure these are in place and in functional working order, right?
Yes, functional working order, making sure the batteries are good, making sure that you test it monthly. And then as you guys can see right here, 10-year worry-free. After the 10 years is up, toss those out and buy new carbon monoxide detectors.
And that's something so simple we can do that makes such a huge impact. I've heard a lot of stories about a lot of people getting really sick from carbon monoxide. So always make sure you have carbon monoxide detectors that are in functioning proper condition.
Yes. And so the next thing that we're going to talk about is first aid. So you want to make sure you always have a first aid kit on you available. First aid kits could look like this, from anything from this to a giant bag just filled with Band-Aids, alcohol, just anything of that nature, just in case if anybody gets burnt or if you just need to patch up someone's boo-boo.
That's true, and having those things on there, make sure you can address it right then and there rather than it becoming a bigger issue later. Like for example, if you were to step on a rusty nail, well, you would need to get a tetanus shot, right?
Yes.
But you can't always get one right away. You want to clean that wound as quickly as possible. So if you have a first aid kit, you're going to have things like gauze and alcohol and maybe even some iodine or some other solution to clean that up before you can make your way to the doctor.
Yes.
That's so cool. Always have a first aid kit. It's so important. And it's so easy to do. You can just make sure mom and dad have one in the vehicle, one in the closet in the house, and just keep as many on hand as you can.
Yes, and then the last thing I would like to talk about is water safety. So whenever you are around water, if you're in a lake or an ocean, make sure you always have a water jacket, life jacket with you, and then you make sure you always have your parent with you, a legal guardian or a parent of some sort.
Now that is so important, guys. You never know how water's gonna act. Even if it's a swimming pool, you might wanna step in there and not realize how deep it is, and that can turn into a really bad situation really fast. So we never get into water by ourselves. We're always with an adult of some sort to help us and make sure we stay safe. And especially around like boats and things like that, of course you need a life jacket. What if you fell overboard? If you have your life jacket on, you'll be just bobbing around waiting for the boat to come pick you back up, right? But if you didn't have a life jacket on, that could be really scary. We love boats and being out on the water is so much fun, but if you have the right safety equipment, there is no reason to be scared at all. That is so cool. Wow, cowboys and cowgirls, this has been so much fun learning all about fire safety, fire prevention, and even life safety. This has been great. Life Safety Officer Giraud, thank you so much for your help today. This has been an absolute pleasure. But stay tuned, we go on a lot of adventures. Wait a second. Can you help me with the yeehaw?
Of course.
All right, guys. Well, until we see you next time, 1, 2, 3. Yeehaw!